Alrighty. So we are live. It's Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Wednesday morning. I was doing Tuesday for a while, so I'm used to saying Tuesdays. And we're at our new format kind of thing, doing it's more just kind of working on simple stuff. We started the double envelope album last week, and so we're just going to continue on with this today. Next week we'll probably be working on something else, and as I finish this one, I'll show it to you. I do want to work on some of the pages today. I also have a binding that I can use on it. We can use a typical binding. That's kind of the plan going forward with the live shows, is that we're going to just kind of fly by the seat of our pants, more so to speak, at times. Sometimes I'll have it something very structured and planned, and sometimes we're just going to work on whatever comes up. So all of the more specific type projects are being done straight to video now and in the future. The project, the tutorial for the bed project, which is right up there, is up and available. The videos will be up later today for that one. Conservatory should be up before the end of the week. And next week I will be working on the third steampunk project. That way I can crank those out and get them out faster by doing that method. And we'll see how that works in the future. In the future with new projects and such, I will have the sample and the videos and tutorial complete before they become available, so that you can see it and buy it right then, rather than having to wait till it's on the schedule, or as has happened with me the last few years, life happens and things get delayed. So this is a better way, I think, moving forward, doing this sort of thing. So on occasion, like this week, I will have some extra classes every now and then. Right now, I'm just running it on Wednesdays. Some days, most days it's going to be in the afternoon at 3, but today I had something going on this afternoon, so I had to move it into the morning. So on some days it will be like today at 10 o'clock Pacific time, and other days it'll be at 3 o'clock Pacific time. But generally you can count on it more frequently being in the afternoon than the morning at this point. So, but this Friday I will be doing a special class. On Thursday, as you know, many of you know, I'm on the Crafters Workshop design team for this year. It's something I did just for me. And on Thursday, my days that are for the blog are on Thursdays, and it's kind of every other Thursday. So this Thursday I have a project coming up that's a mixed media canvas, reverse canvas actually. I can't show it to you because that's part of the deal. It gets shown first on Thursday on their blog. I will post it over on Paper Doodles and over on my blog on Thursday as well, after it goes live with them. And on Friday, I will be doing a project similar to the one that you will see on that Thursday. So we'll be doing a special class on Friday in my afternoon time, that 4 to 6 time frame, since that's what time I used to do. And so we will have a special class that day. And I'll throw those in every once in a while like that. I do have quite a few mixed media type projects coming up in the future. It's a direction I'm very into. We've done, and it's so funny. It's like, oh, there's regular scrapbooking and there's mixed media. We've been doing essentially what would be considered mixed media for years in the projects that we've done. And what all mixed media means is that you're using more than just one media. So we use more than just paper and the stuff that goes along with paper. We've done projects such as the fairy house, that the dollhouse one, the spring one. We did with the autumn fairy house, where we did the stomp with paper mache type stuff. All of that's mixed media. Even our albums, when you throw some stenciling in, or some stamping, or embossing, or anything like that, you're mixing your medias in there. So if you're afraid of, like, oh my goodness, I can't do mixed media, sprays scare me, I don't know which medium to use, that sort of thing, I want to make it to where you can make incredible projects easily. And so I want to kind of show you and pull you, maybe some of you kicking and screaming, into doing more mixed media, especially with my 3D projects. I'm just excited about taking it to that next level. And I think it really is intimidating to a lot of people, but it's really a lot easier than you may think it will be. So it's a direction that we're going to be doing more of with upcoming and future projects. So I'm excited about kind of moving more in the direction of that. I think the doing more mixed media combined with my digital papers, you're seeing more of the true me coming out. So I'm excited about moving in that direction. I'm going to continue doing my digital papers, and where there's a paper available that fits in with the project, absolutely, I will make that either the primary paper, or at least make it an option available to people, because I know a lot of people are also not wanting the digital papers, whether it's they don't feel they can get it printed properly, they don't have a printer, they don't like the idea of that. There's a lot of people that the digital papers just aren't for them, and I understand that. But it is a direction that allows me to do much more of a variety of projects coming up in the future, because I don't have to wait for a paper to be available. So I'm excited to continue doing the digital papers moving forward. So one of the things I may be doing here, you might want to keep out, is some of my older collections. I may be starting to take some of those down and not have those as available, just so there's not such a massive long list to weed through. So I may have a last chance to get them sale here, sometime this week, I think, just because I just need to shorten up the list of them so that people are scrolling through trying to find them. So some of those older ones, I've been doing this, about 3 years now. I may start retiring some of them. So, excuse me. But I love doing the digital papers, but I also I love doing physical projects as well. And I love throwing the kitchen sink at projects. So I get excited about it. And hopefully I can instill that same excitement in all of you, and show you that it really isn't as intimidating as so many of them look. And I also want to show you exactly how you do it. There's lots of YouTube videos out there, but most of them are showing the process, in the sped up video type thing. And so I really want to show you exactly how to do some of this stuff. So I'm excited about that. On that note, real quick before we get going, though, I do want to let you know that I have late last night put up a basics kit for mixed media. For those of you who don't really know, okay, I don't know what kind of stuff that I need. Now, this has a lot of products in it, but these are the products that are used pretty much on any mixed media project that I would be doing in the future. In terms of, these are the basic stuff that I think everybody should have these if you wanted to do some of these projects. And rather than you having to scrounge around and figure out where to get them all, because I know personally, trying to find some of these products locally, and I'm in a major metropolitan area, there are so few brick and mortar stores, and so few that actually carry these kinds of products, that you can't find them. So all right, so and then we'll go going on the project. So bear with me for 5 or 10 minutes tops for those of you just showing up while I show some of this stuff. And I've got the list here. Now, the gesso, I don't have the specific gesso on me that I'm doing. In order to keep the cost down, I didn't go with the big jar size of the gessos. I went for this, and this is an example of tube size. So I went for the tube size because this will last you for quite some time, and at that point then you can get the jars or the larger quantities. But going with the tube size versus the jar size, this will last you a long time, and it reduced the price of the kit significantly by not getting the big jars. The stuff that I think you need the jars for, that I'm getting that, putting that in the kit. Now the gesso is there's going to be a white gesso, which you use probably the most of any of them. There's a black gesso, I use that a lot, but there's also a clear gesso, and the clear gesso, part of the reason why I wanted to have that in there is that is what I use to cover especially digital papers, but also printed papers. If you give a coating of that on it before you're putting all this other media on it, you won't run into the problem, which some may have, depending on what paper or ink you use when you're printing the papers, is it could run. So this way, or, you know, it just kind of goes weird. So this kind of seals. I use the clear gesso to seal the paper. You can use the clear mediums and stuff, but they can sometimes be tacky depending on your climate. So I use the clear gesso. So you're getting the black, white, and the clear gesso. And then of the mediums, it's going to be, you know, as I said, I am on the Crafters Workshop design team, and I get sent the products, the TCW products, for free. But as you all know, I would never promote them, put them in a project or a kit, that sort of thing, if they weren't what I feel was the best product available. And I must admit, I hadn't used them prior to being on their design team, but I love them. I personally think they're great. And you know, I'm not going to BS you and tell you they're great when I don't think they are. So I just wouldn't present them at all. So but now on 3 of these 4 mediums, I'm doing it in the 2-inch, the 2-ounce jar size. And with that one's, it's the gloss medium. But again, it's going to be in this size of the jar. I don't use it enough to justify the having the big jar for all of you guys. Also, let's see, so the gloss gel and the matte gel. And then the light and fluffy modeling paste, which is my favorite modeling paste I've ever used. I love this stuff. It keeps crisp, that sort of thing. And this one's got the big jar because I use this a lot. So you get the 8-ounce jar of the light and fluffy. And then also the just modeling paste. And again, in the small jar size. So push all those things out of the way. And then also, because TCW does not have a crackle or crazing medium, and I love that kind of for some of that vintage look, is we're going to be using the Distress one, but it's going to come in this size jar. So it's this stuff in this jar, because this stuff, I mean, I haven't used it on very many projects, and it's almost empty. This is one of those little jars. So that's the crackle medium that you will be getting. And then, as you've seen me use these guys all the time, these are the waxes. You know, we've been using waxes for years. We had some, these are a little bit easier to use than the waxes that we had years ago, which needed mineral spirits to thin down and soften up. But I mean, we were using those, what, 7 years ago now? And they were really hard to find, whereas these, you know, out of Prima are great. And they're a lot easier to use. Now, Some of them, they get kind of a weird, excuse me. A lot of people get concerned by all these little bumpy things, but I guess it's supposedly absolutely no problem with them, and they smooth all out. So, but you're getting 4 colors of the metallic wax. I'm still waiting for the other colors come in because I've been using a different brand, but I want them all the same brand. So you're getting a bronze, which is a gold tone, kind of a vintagey gold, a copper, and then the brushed iron, which is this one, which is kind of that silvery without being super bright. I like a little bit more neutralized metallic. So you're getting the 3 metallics, and then you're getting vintage silk, which is kind of an off-white creamy kind of color, which is also awesome. And then you're getting unicorn hair. I keep wanting to call it unicorn tears. The pad, which is a little bit more limiting in terms of how to use it. You're getting, and this is what I use. The primary color that I use for oxidizing, giving the oxidized look on metal. So you'll get that. Then I don't have them right now because I ran out of them. You get a jar of their premium mini art stones, which are little kind of clay beads. It's the really tiny ones, again, to give some texture in that. And they're arriving tomorrow. So then some art sand. And you'll get, this in a bag, some just basic art sand. And I add this to the mediums to make texture paste. You don't have to have 14 different pastes in varying textures. I'll probably have a couple different sands in there for you to use. And you just add that to just your basic mediums to create that texture paste and stuff. So there's that, and then you'll have some glass pebbles and chips. Where's the camera? Right there. So these are just like tumbled glass things. Again, they add some texture, and what I like about these is they're not uniform. So they give some variation in textures. You're also going to get one of the Tim Holtz splatter brushes to do splatters. It's, you can use a toothbrush. I just find this is a little bit more controlled. And then a palette knife, which I use a lot. Now, these are all items, like I said, that are products that I would use on pretty much any project. What I'm also going to be doing into the future is when we're doing one of these projects, the kit that will be available for the project itself will include the much more specific materials, the specific to colors. This is the basics. This is kind of like having your pencil and your craft knife and your ruler. This is kind of the basic kit, and then there will be project specifics that would include any paints or sprays, stencils, all that other things that are very specific in terms of its color or style or whatever to a project. So you would be able die cuts. They would include die cuts, and I'm probably at this point looking at doing that. Is I would provide the die cuts, but I might also have the dies available for those of you who want to purchase the dies and cut your own. But in the kits, I will probably have the die cuts in there. They'd include any flowers and foliage, all of that kind of stuff. That will be what's in those kits moving forward. Whether I'm going to split it out to where those who don't want to buy the consumable, things, the paints and sprays and stuff, I will have the kit with the papers and that kind of thing, and the die cuts and all that. And then it may be an add-on that you can get all the sprays and stencils and all that kind of stuff. I'm still working that stuff out. But that's what I'm looking at doing in terms of the kits moving forward. But the basic stuff, this will give you the mediums, the pace, and the things that I use pretty much on any project. Any and all projects would be using these materials. So that's what that is. So, and again, we'll then have more project specific materials. And because, like I said, it's hard to find this stuff. So that's why I want to have in those project specific ones, the sprays that you need, the stencils that you need. If there's this a very particular medium that we don't have here. For instance, the Croucher's Workshop has modeling paste in all sorts of colors and all the metallics and black and all that kind of stuff. And if that's something that is needed for that project, I'll provide that. So in those kits. So that way you don't have to hunt and search to try to find all this stuff. So anyway, okay, I've talked as always a little longer than I intended to, but I just wanted to let you know that I do have these, and as soon I'm trying to order the products next week as soon as I have a little bit better idea of how many people are interested, you know. So if it's something that you're interested in, but it's like, oh, you know, I can't do it right now, drop me an email and let me know that that it is something that you want to get. You just can't do it just yet. Or I need to split up the payments or something like that, so that I have a better idea of how much. I don't want to have a bunch of this sitting. I don't want to order enough for, you know, twice as many kits as what I actually need. And I will probably continue to carry this, and I will, depending on what products we end up using a lot of, I may carry those for on an individual, so you can replace products. You don't have to buy the whole set all over again. Because some things, especially things like these waxes and stuff, they last a very, very, very long time. So, but you know, this is all consumable stuff, and you'll need to replace it as, you know, we go along. So anyway, that's what that is all about, and that again is in my on the website already. I got it up late last night after we got home from a hockey game. So so that totally ranking out my shoulder. Alright, so get that all out of the way. Okay. Oh, thanks, Joy. Excuse me. Joy put up a link for me, and so you can check that all out there. And it gives a full listing of what all is in it. So, alrighty. Let's go ahead and switch cameras. And we'll go ahead and work on the double envelope. That's why I decided to call it double envelope album. Real original. So, all right, come on. Switch over. It doesn't want, there we go. Come on. Doesn't seem to want to switch over to my other camera view. I just love technology. And I know technology loves me. Oh, the delay is long. I took my paper, it was getting really nasty, and I haven't put a new one on yet, so I apologize for my little hot spots here on the, I love having the dark surface. I think it makes colors pop and everything, but it doesn't really work well with lamps. I don't know if that... Okay, I'll just go blind. So... But that hot spot kind of take it out of the way there. So, alrighty. So we've got the pages all together. Oops. Last class, where we took two envelopes, flipped one over, and they slipped the little flaps inside of each other to create the pages. So here's one envelope. Here's one envelope. Here's the other envelope. So they attach together to form a page, and then we were adding some other envelopes in to create pockets. Like there's a pocket here in the front, pocket here behind on this one. I cut it open one side to create the sleeve to attach to binding. So then on the next one here, we've flapped and then cut in two pockets into a number 10 envelope. So then there's a pocket in an area here. Then this one has a pocket and a pocket using a large envelope. So using a large number, whatever it is, envelope. And then a number 10 policy on the back side, where it's also a pocket here and a pocket going in from the end. And I need to reglue that. So here's the double pocket again, and I'm going to flap this one on there. I'm going, oh no, I don't remember. Yeah, I was going to flap this on and I was going to create a hinge, I believe. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and watch my video so I don't screw up and do something different than what we had planned, because I stuck it in there because I knew it was going to attach with that. So then we have a large envelope here with a pocket. It flops down, so we have a flap here that we'll add to, and there's a pocket. So that was that one. Then we have a repeat of page number 2, only mirror image with the policy envelope, and then in the back it's got the pockets. I got too many projects out of my mind because I'm going, wow, I don't even remember doing a couple of these pages. So that's pretty bad. It was a week ago. Too many things going on. All right. So, and then the last page I have here, I took the number 10 envelope, and it's a pocket, and then it's a corner pocket, and this one's a corner or a tuck pocket. It's got a pocket here, and then it's a pocket here. So I had cut that number 10 to create 2 pockets, and then on the back I have the smaller one with a flap, and this is a pass-through type pocket there, and then a pocket and a pocket. So lots of pockets, lots of interactivity. All that good stuff. So at this point we're going to start embellishing pages, or I can put them onto a binding. Now you can use the Stack the Deck binding, you can use T-square binding, you can use any I've got the book binding basics and beyond book out that's got almost 40 different bindings available in it. I've done probably 6 or 7 since then. So there's any number of bindings. You just need to play with bindings and figure out which one works for you. So however you want to bind, you can bind. Now I was going to pull out one of my digital papers that we can do this with, or I also went to my stash, and after a billion years on the Graphic 45 design team, I have a ton of Graphic 45 papers. So I just pulled in, and then because I'm anal this way, I put them in light to dark. So I have all these neutral light to dark papers that we could use. And that one's actually lighter than that one. So all of, light to dark neutrals, and then I just pulled in some colors as well to go with a couple of greens, aquas. These are mainly stripes, polka dots. I didn't go for the patterny ones. I went for neutrally type of things, because then we can play with some other stuff on top of them. So the greens, the blues, and the orange. So I pulled in these as some color accents, because then we can do some other things with some stamps or stenciling and stuff on the pages if we want to do that. Because one of the things we can do is we can do a page or so on a future class when we're in need of a project. So I can pull up some of my papers, use these. The other thought was I haven't used these, I don't think yet, on a project, have I? Oh, because I haven't done this album yet. So I was just looking at what do I have printed. I have some of the, I think this is Fairy Lights. So I was thinking, having these neutrals and then incorporating some of these on there as well is a possibility. So color-wise, the blues, greens, and oranges fit in with what I've got here. So I could pull in these because, as I said, this kind of palette kind of works, and it just kind of worked out that way. I didn't plan it. And then I have also some of these accent colors. our accents, and then it's got the cards. And there's also got some neutrals here too. So I think this was Fairy Lights. So I mean, that was the thought, is incorporating some of this, or I could do this palette, and then I was just going to pull in, these are just some Prima ephemera pieces from a few years back. 2014, yeah, it's been a few years. Alright, how do you get into these suckers? So you can just use any random, or rando, as my daughter would say, rando, ephemera pack. And I love the moons and stuff. So, you know, we could pull in some of these just to add to, then it's maybe not so overwhelming as to introduce the whole paper collection in there. You know, I could pull in something like this. I found another one earlier today. Just a sec. Here's a, actually these kind of go together. You know, so you can pull out of your stash kind of thing. You know, once you feel like you're living in a Laura Denison Designs commercial by using my digital papers on this one. So that's one that I had. This one's also color-wise kind of fits in. This is just a Kaisercraft one. There's a piece on the back here. Let me pull it out. You know, color-wise, this can work in there too. It's got the dark lights, you know, the blues. And it's a little more pinky, but this is, you know, don't have to use so much of the oranges. You know, so we can incorporate that kind of stuff in there. So, and the chat is like crickets right now in terms of what would you like to see? Do you want me to just go with this palette? Because mainly it's just Lois and Joy saying, I see blue. So, alright, well, we're just going to go with this palette since nobody's talking today. It's a lot of Joy talking mainly, and it's Lois, excuse me, wanting blue. Sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. I also have some paper pads or some packs that I could pull out and we could use those. I don't know what kind of stuff you want to see. Alright, so let's figure out what page we want to do first. Yeah, Joy in person doesn't talk a lot, but on the live shows here, she's very active in the chat because she keeps it going. Otherwise, it would be sitting there quiet. So, because it's funny how we cycle. Excuse me, after doing these shows for 10 years now, it's funny how with the chat it cycles. Is it just sometimes we have very talkative people, and sometimes we have like next to no talking, and today's one of those next to no talking days. So, okay, the next question, do you want me to embellish pages today, or do you want me to get the rest of the book put together? So we can put it into the binding and the covers, or do you want to do the pages? I personally tend to do the pages. I like to decorate the pages. outside of the book, so I don't have the whole huge book flopping around. But I also know some people that makes them nervous because if they mess up a page putting it into the book, then they got to figure it out. So, okay, so I'm calling everybody out about not talking, and it's like the only one still talking is Joy. Okay, I got 2 people with pages, please. Start at the front and work our way in. Like I said, I'm not sure if we're going to necessarily be working on this one again on the live shows, like next class, because I'll probably do something different next class. Your choice. We're just going to start at the front then. Y'all know it's dictatorship in the end, right? So, and we'll just incorporate stuff as I see fit in terms of embellishments. I also pulled in some colors of cardstock that went with the palette that I had. Just randomly went down and pulled way too many. But that gives me a selection. Yeah, Joy says if she didn't mount it into a book, she would decorate a page upside down. My recommendation on that is whether you do it, mark it on a part that's going to get covered over, like an arrow this end up. If it's going to get covered over, to start with, so here I know this is going to get covered over, so you can go through and mark it so that you do properly decorate it correctly. The other option is to have a sticky note, but sticky notes can come off and all of that, so as long as it's going to get covered over with pattern paper, it's perfectly acceptable to use things like marking on your, because if you do it with a pencil, you can erase it even. So if you do it that way, so that you end up, as long as the first one goes on, and you give an indication that it's going to be this end up, that way you don't decorate a page upside down. But Joy, that is not an uncommon issue, and it's one that I myself have done as well. So, and I'm sure anybody who's ever scrapbooked has at some time or another done a page upside down and then wanted to kick themselves. So let's kind of just figure out kind of what it is we want to do. Now, with this, we can just go through and just mat it, basically, and kind of however we want to do on that. Or, we can play with it as we go along. So we'll just do that. One of the things I want to also do, I think, on this one, is I want to put mats for like a 4x6 photo, so it's really easy to add photos to it and not just have a big area and then feeling uncomfortable about covering that over when it's pretty pattern paper. So that's kind of why I pull in, I think, a neutral palette on this one, or neutral types of papers, so that if you're doing this as an album for photos, you're not feeling like, oh no, I don't want to put photos in it because I don't want to cover over my pretty paper. For instance, this area is a perfect area for a photo, so I would want more of a paper that is less fancy, so that then when I put the photo over it, it's not like, this is a perfect area for one of those fancies, or a something more of having a pattern on it, so that you're not necessarily putting a photo on this and then you're flipping it up and maybe the photos then are in the pockets inside. So this is a great way to have a paper that you're featuring is on this front. of this, whereas this can be more of the neutral with a matte on it. Same thing over on this side. I can maybe have something featured on this large flapping card, and I know the black is harder to see on camera, but it makes the colors pop. And then again, making this an area where there's a photo, maybe small photos on the back here, but kind of planning where you can have some of the pretty featured papers that we all absolutely love and adore, and just having the more basics in some of the other areas, if that makes sense. So I think I'm going to go with kind of a one of the more neutrals, and then pull in maybe the colors over here. So and I wouldn't take a bunch of time. Lamenting, this one spoke to me for some reason, so we're going to go with this. Of course, I go with a stripe immediately, and I'm sure Joy just loves that. Now, and I'm going to do this without necessarily using a ruler. I'm on about that much a gap there. About that much of a gap there. I want to have this go ahead and tuck inside my pocket. So I can go with that line, it looks like. So that you don't always have to measure everything. So see, then this pulls in those same colors. I can use some of the backside. This is from Ariel. So this is going to tuck down inside of there. Now, we can just do, you know, a cool basic matting there. Or, you know, we've all been doing this sort of thing forever. At this point, though, if we can take a leap and do some other stuff to these pages and start adding those kind of mixed media type elements, if you guys all want to do, you know, kind of take it a little step further, rather than just, you know, this is quick and fast. You can ink edges, glue it down, move on to the next piece, the next piece, the next piece. Is that where, you know, do we want to just have this be a get it done album, or do we want to play with it a little bit at this point and do some other kinds of stuff? I know I'm using finger quotes a lot today. I mean, because we can use this a lot more as a just to play with rather than feature. Because I didn't really want to so much feature the paper in this one, but potentially feature some ideas and techniques and stuff. And again, we have crickets. I mean, the idea behind a lot of this is just kind of doing what you guys want to see. So I'll wait for the delay for a minute. Let's do stuff. I like that. Let's do stuff. All right, so let's get this guy on there. And then, so I've got it all figured out. Okay, this is what size it's all going to be. I can probably do a 4x6 photo on there. And so, okay. Yeah, this will fit a 4x6. So now I'm going to take this, and it's like, I'm just going to go randomly just cut off that corner. So how many of you had heart failure when I did that? Do I want stripe with stripe? Probably not. I do have a lot of stripes. Joy is going to hate this palette. There's just way too many stripes in there. Now I mainly pulled these papers just looking at the front sides and not necessarily the back sides, because they're from so many different collections. So, we're going to just rip off a piece of this. And maybe fit that underneath there, and we might do something on this. So you'll still, I know what I need to do is cut so we have a 4x6 photo, so we can always plan. I'm just going to cut a 4x6 piece. So it doesn't have to where it's like all fits up above all this. So we can cover over, that kind of thing. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to crunchel up this corner a little bit. We're going to crunch all the corners you can use. There's all sorts of tools out there. You can use a fingernail even if you don't have much in the way. Now, grant you, I got fingernails on right now, but you don't need fingernails to necessarily do this. You can use the edge of your scissors. And we can ink the edges. Maybe you can curl this edge over completely. Coax it into wanting to curl. Oh, that edge, I probably shouldn't. The one that's going down inside the pocket, I probably should have been paying attention. I put all my tools away when I cleaned my desk off. Now I gotta get everything back out again. It was just too gross. I had to take the paper off. It was the paper off of my desktop. It was just too gross, and I just haven't had a chance to put any one on. Okay, so I want that and flattened. Okay, so in doing this, we're going to play a little bit at times. So bear with me in some moments. I don't want to spray because I don't want to spray all over the place, but I'm going to use some little water on that edge and crumple it up a little bit more. Yeah, you can use tools, We're I'm gonna wet that edge a little bit. I'm gonna actually wet a ways up into it. I just know that water's clean, whereas the water in my cleaning thing is not clean. I'm actually using my organizer, my modular organizer from 2013, might be 2014. Oh god, let's see if I can do this without showing off my entire disgusting desk. Yep, see, I'm using the modular organizer to put all the inks and stuff that I use. I know, it's scary. I'm getting organized. So then I can just use my, I let it dry too much though, so I gotta put some more water on it. Anyway, I can just put some of my ink on there. Just get down in there. Okay, well now this water won't be clean, but I could spray it on there too. Yeah, let's just do that. I'll just do it beside me rather than over my desk. So I sprayed some water on there because it's distress ink. It'll mush a lot better. I just really wanted a dark kind of accentuate the edge. So you don't have to just go with the sponge. You can play a little bit. Of course, you always need some sort of heat tool. And also crumple it up. Because one of the things of playing, doing this kind of stuff, yeah, you're experimenting. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But you know what? It's okay when it doesn't work. It's totally fine. You probably learn something by that. But it's also I'm finding very freeing and looser kind of method is a lot less stressful. I like not feeling like, oh my god, it has to be just totally perfect. But it's hard for me. Really, really hard to do that because I tend to be a lot more anal and want things always to come out predictable and not necessarily just serendipitous. And so I admit this is hard to just kind of be a little messy. Absolutely, Ruthie Toothy. You can definitely use paintbrushes or anything you want on your ink pads. This is still really wet down here. I sprayed it probably a little excessive. So we just, and this also takes sometimes letting it dry. I get impatient and want it to dry faster. But it also sometimes helps you to just take a moment and breathe while you're waiting for your stuff to dry. We run at such incredible paces these days that I find myself relaxing a lot more when I'm using this way of scrapping to where I'm not, I have to have 14 pages done today. It's like, that's one thing I want to do sometimes with some of these projects is just to chill and relax a little bit about it and not feel that pressure. But we all do. That's just the life we live these days. We're constantly under pressure. So okay, so I'm gonna do you know how hard it is to convince your left hand when you're right-handed and your right shoulder is totally messed up? How hard it is to convince your left hand that it needs to be a little bit more dominant and take control and not let the right hand always be in charge. I don't know how left-handed people do it. So, but trying to convince my left hand that, no, you're the one who needs to reach for things, not my right hand, which screws up my shoulder. So it's a challenge. Now this is archival ink, which is a permanent ink, so this is not going to smear with water. So I just wanted to get a little bit more along the edge and maybe smear it in there a little bit onto the paper. This is looking kind of Halloween-y, so I'm going to have to adjust that. And I love all these little mini pads now that Ranger came out with. So this is, again, archival ink versus distress ink. Now, archival ink is permanent, and I can put as much water on top of it as I want once it's dry, and it's not going to smear. So I agree, Joey. My mom's a lefty. I tried to force myself as a kid to do stuff with my left hand, and it was uncooperative then as well. You know, my mom comes from an era of where they thought being right and left-handed was more of a choice, and as a result, you know, she was forced as a child to use her left hand or her right hand more often than her left. So she is most definitely much more ambidextrous than I ever thought of being. So I'm gonna pull out, just because I have a smillion stencils nowadays. I want to pull some pink in there, but I was going to do fabric, but I think I'll do this. I think I want the good one. So all the stencils over the course of the next year I will be using are going to be Crafters Workshop stencils. And when we're doing a project, I'll always be happy to tell you what stencil I am using. And I will, other than for this one, just because we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants on this one. I'm just wanting to darken this a little bit, not as significantly as I did on that one. So I'm just inking this one in. And this is Vintage Photo. Of course, the main ink I want to get out right now is stuck behind the leg of the tripod. So this is that cracked pistachio. I'm going to add a little bit of that because I love that up against the orangey tone. I think it gives it. And I don't have to get a finger out. So we got a little cracked pistachio oxide, which is a more opaque, I just put enough water in my hand. Distressing. The original distressings are transparent. The oxides have a little bit more opacity to them. But as you can do with pretty much any kind of distress ink, they are water reactive. So I'm just flicking a little water on there. And I sacrifice an old ratty towel, and that this always sits on my lap when I'm doing anything mixed media related. Come on, do your thing. And this will give us splotchiness to the ink where the water is. Run it down a little bit. Now these melt and will work. So do your don't heat over your your cutting mat, or you'll mess it up. And this is subtle and you're not going to see it on camera, but it basically kind of gets some lighter spots in the ink. Just gives it a little bit of texturing there. It also crumples it up a little so it's not so flat. Alright, so that's looking the way I want it to look. I'm going to take, and this one has a really cool edge. Now, I'll tell you the number. Now, on ones like this, it's like, where's it? The numbers on all of the TCW stencils are always engraved, I guess is the best word to put it, along one edge. And so this has got along this skinny edge, so I got to catch it in the light right. And it is, my light's way over there. Oh, that one just says craftersworkshop.com, so it's on another corner. Oh, it's down here. So this is TCW 876, and if it has an S after it, that means it's a small size. So the TCW 876 also comes in a 12 by 12 size. So this is the 6-inch size. So all of their stencils always come in 12-inch and 6-inch. So if it has an S, that just indicates it's a small size. Now this one's cool because it has kind of a bumpy, lumpy edge on it. And I don't want it dead on center. Now one of the things I'm going to put down is my mat, and I'm going to try to have some of these mats, carry them in my shop. I've used the Ranger one for years, and this is the Ken Oliver one. It's a mess right now, but I need to clean it off. Let's use this size. Other essentials: baby wipes. Always have baby wipes. Helps to clean things off. Have paper towels, but that was something sticky. Oh, it's some medium on there, that's why. Alright, it's, it is what it is. I don't want to spend a ton of time cleaning it. When they give you 14,000 napkins when you go to like Starbucks or any fast food, I just bring the napkins in and out and put them up here in my studio rather than tossing them. So, anyway. Let's do it like right there. And I want this to be pink. Don't know why I want pink, but I want pink. So, I'm just feeling a hot pink. And now you can use any kinds of brushes, cosmetic sponges. These are little cosmetic rounds, latex free for applying and blending cosmetics. They also work great for applying or blending paints and inks. I probably should do it the old-fashioned way. But you can use brush. You can, stamp it on with a brush. It just also depends on how thick you want it. I don't do as much paint through my stencils as I do mediums. This isn't going to be as dense as I kind of want it. So let's put a little bit more on there. And this is where we can add some gel medium. Let's do the glossy one because now it's stuck. Come on. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna kill your ears for a second. Beat it in submission, it always works. So if you add just a little medium, don't want to add a lot, just a little, just to thicken it up. And that's what a medium is generally for. What it's designed for was to add to make it a little bit thicker for painting so that it shows texture and stuff. That's what mediums were actually designed for, is in painting. So I've just added the gloss. So I'm just thickening up the paint, and it sometimes it makes it look like it's a little bit lighter, but most mediums, if they're clear mediums, will dry. Clear, though, they may milk out the color just a little bit. So I can take and use my palette knife and scrape this on there now, or I can dabber it on, but I think I'm just going to use this because this is going to give me the density that I want. And I'm not afraid to go over the edge a little, since this one has a kind of a cool devilly edge. But see, don't have to be perfect. See how I've kind of run over the edge and everything? Now, when I'm just using paints on a stencil, I'm of the school that, so let me peel that off. Oop. So that I've got some little texture stuff on there. But I do clean off mediums off of my stencils. So, especially a small area like this, baby wipes is sufficient. But when it's just paint, I don't clean it off. Otherwise, you spend all your time running to the bathroom to clean it off, and I don't think it's necessary. So it's kind of like stamps. To clean or not to clean. Now, if I would probably leave this. I many times use those, those foam paper plates type things. I use those as a palette, because then you can just put something over it to keep stuff from drying out too fast. Now, I can take this and I can wash this out in the sink. I'm probably not going to, because I don't want to take the time to do that. But you can wash these out and get while the paint's still wet. But one of the things I can do to keep this potentially to where I can wash it out after class is over is you can take and wrap it up in a baby wipe so that it stays wet. And then I can wash it out. So I've just wrapped it up in the baby wipe so then I can go wash it later. But my screen looks really out of fuzzy. It's kind of not out of focus, but it's just kind of fuzzy. I don't know. It just doesn't look as clear as it normally does. I don't know if it's the same for all of you guys. So, but see, I kind of ran over the edge over here and stuff. It's not a big deal. So then I'll go ahead and dry. Now, one of the things with a medium, especially where I've got I've added medium to a paint. When I do it with a palette knife, it kind of mushy-ushies under the edges, which is why I like the light and fluffy, because it kind of stays crisp. But the light and fluffy is white, so it will lighten down your colors. So, if I were sitting here and doing this all on my own, I would have a pan of water, because then what I do is stencils and stuff, I just throw in the pan of water rather than running to the bathroom after every time I need it. So having a pan of water to throw things in works out really well, and then you can just make it all in one trip to the bathroom. So the medium has given it some texture and it's thickened it up, but see how it's given it some texture. If you want a lot of texture, that's where rather than the gel mediums will give some degree of texture. greater degree of texture is using a modeling paste. And then the super texture is the light and fluffy. Light and fluffy it's the consistency of like buttercream frosting. Gel is like hair gel, and modeling paste is like it's like thicker hair gel. But yeah, the medium will give it to where it has some body to it. But I had more paint than I had gel, so it's. But I wanted this to give it so it was like a thicker coat. Also heat from the back side at times. That'll also help dry it faster. I mean, this is if you're an impatient person, excuse me, doing some of this stuff is not going to bring you a lot of joy, because doing techniques and stuff like this, it does take more time, because you have to wait for it to do its thing. Drawing from the back, it does tend to warp a little bit less. It's still going to warp to some degree whenever you wet paper. It's just the nature of paper. But if it's curling, I will say I agree. If it's curling and then you dry it from the back, it'll help curl it back the other way. Yeah, you can use gel medium without paint, and it will, if you're using, like, this is a glossy one, which is why it still looks wet, even though it's not, because this is a glossy medium. And you will get the glossy effect. Or you can use the matte, and it doesn't dry. It's still, you can see it's there, but it's not a glossy. The other thing you can use mediums for is they're great as glue. They're a glue, they're a sealant. Okay, it's still a little tacky because it's hot. But one of the things too with some mediums is you want to be cautious when you are using your heat tool, is some mediums will bubble. When you, yeah, see, now that it's cool, now it's dry, now it's cool. But it's hard to tell that because it's shiny. So. See, I like, I wanted that little bit of pinkiness showing under there. And then I'm going to grab some. I didn't want this to be this big of a piece. Whoops. I'm just knocking everything down now. Sorry about that. And I didn't want it that big. I thought I was grabbing a little scrappy doodle piece. So, let me see, what else do we have? I'm going to take those downstairs. Sorry, I didn't have this all planned out thoroughly as to what I was going to use. So. Let's use a piece of this. See, and I'm thinking way too much doing this. I should just kind of grab something and plop it on there. So, because I'm going to have that little bit of lace in there. But I want to dirty up the lace a little bit. I want to bring this green, pistachio green color back in. Oops, that's it's already got the... I'm going, why is that not sticking? I don't want it to blend as much, so if I dry it first before I put on another color, it doesn't blend as much. Just kind of goes on there. Okay, so then that kind of mushes that around together a little bit, gives it more of an aged look. Pick it up a little bit. So it gets too hot, then you set it down. So you can get fresh, brand new lace at the store and turn it into more vintagey looking stuff. Dip the edge just a squidgy more. Put that on, put that over it, and I like that, just kind of tucking out of there. Okay, so then we can start attaching this down. Throw a little over that, so it's not quite so intensely pink. Put it down just a squidgle. Good thing it's non-toxic glue since I chew the gunk off. I'm gonna this in a little ways with that. Okay, so stick that down. Tape on. Stick that down like so. This is going to go inside there. Perfection. Let's see. What all do I have in here that I can use? Here's a little. Okay. Oh, I love the little butterfly. Tag is not. Or maybe the butterfly can go on the tag. I love the little butterfly. There I can bring in a little bit of that blue, but I want to make sure also, where's my, if I'm planning to put a 4x6 on here, I don't want to cover, now I see, I want this to come down a little further. Now that, see, by having that 4x6 thing, and I'm like going, oh wait, I want this down here more. Otherwise my lace is kind of covered over. And, you're like going, oh, but she did that stenciling on there, but it doesn't really show. But there, it does peek through a little bit. And that little peek, it's the layering many times that gives it kind of the cool effect. And it's like, oh my goodness, she just covered over what she did. But you really, when you're looking at it up close, you do see it. There, so it's still got the lace popping out. So maybe this is maybe more like this butterfly. Let me tuck this inside. So that, my 4x6 photos there. Maybe this comes out from there, and there's my little butterfly. My little blue flowers are going to go where I can glue them down and my picture text behind them. Because it's by having this and planning, because it would be very different if I were just planning this and then it's like, oh yeah, then I can make this, and oh, I can have my little butterfly on there, but then it's like, okay, where do I fit my photo? Oh, that just kind of throwing that on there like so, and if I take it to where I attach those to where that can tuck under, we'll see there, and then I don't have a problem with it being right there. Maybe that's what I do, and I'll skip the tag guy. I do like these pink flowers. Maybe I could also have these popping out from behind there. I don't like that one on there. I like those kind of peeking out from behind there. And this guy's sitting up here. Like so. But I gotta admit, right now, the white edge of this is really tossing me off. So let me... by not having it being so white, because it just totally leaps out. Still want this lace coming down a little further down here on this end too. Yeah, the lace makes me happier now that when I have a photo over it. So. Maybe keeping everything kind of down at that corner. I like that better. Okay, so let's take these guys. And I don't need all of it, so I'm cutting it in half, because then I can potentially do more of it, like up here. I don't mind that sticking out a little bit. I'm going to have extra. You just need to know how much over you can hang because of your how your cover is. But if I do this first, then I know how much overhang I need to allow for my covers. The back of that one, since it hangs over. This one's going to tuck under here. Like so. This guy can attach down here at this little corner end. So he'll attach there, and then we'll put the butterfly attached on him. I'll put him over that way so he's not right up against that guy. And that's going to stick out from under there. And we're going to do and what I'm going to do right now is, I like all the lace down there, so I'm going to just chop this little bit off right there and move him up there so he's, that little piece is behind this guy sticking out. Let's stick out just that little bit. And I can glue him on. So that way on the, oh, that's, oh wait, I don't want it hanging over on that side. Hello, wake up. That's my binding. See, aren't I glad that I did that way? That's my binding edge. I don't want it hanging over on that side. So let's figure out where else we can put it. Let's put him up at the top edge. Yeah, that'll work. And over that little bit at the top edge. That's not a glue bottle, that's my water bottle. See, and that just reinforced Joy's thing, like, see? I'll show you a close-up here in just a minute. I gotta pull that glue off there. That would have been, see, because that's my binding. That's where my binding's going to go on, so I didn't want that hanging out there. So, alright, so let's go ahead and get this glued in. And I don't go real super close to the edge, except for those edges where I want it to be laying down relatively flat. But see, I didn't get very close to that edge because I want that to be slipped up there. Slide that in. The beauty of glue versus the tape is I can then move things slightly as I need to. So see, I have this little piece cut here. The other piece of it is cut and hanging out down there with the little lace hanging out. And I do want, not quite rolling quite so much, but it is kind of cute that it hangs out of there. I'll probably find another little piece of lace to stick up out of there. But by having, I would have just gone willy-nilly and done some really cool stuff, and then it's like, oh, how do I put a picture on there? So by having this 4x6 piece, then it's like, okay, that'll work. You might even want to make it 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 so it has the mat on there. So, okay, so I'm just going to attach this down along this bottomy edge. And then I think he's gonna, rather than him be down here, I can have him again a little closer to this edge so that when this goes on, I'm not hanging over the side. I keep wanting to hang over that side. Stick him down. And I still see that little niblet of the so you still see where I added that little bit of stuff on there. Yeah, so I'm pleased. There, pull that out where it was supposed to be. And when I go to put my photo in, I just tuck it in underneath that stuff. Cool beans. Yeah, so I'm happy with how that is now looking. So there you've got it with the photo in there and without the photo. So even if I did a little bit smaller photo, it still works out perfectly. So, but this good plan to have when you're laying out the embellishments and stuff so that you have some goodies. So there. So there's that one. That works out. Oh, here, let me grab it. Extra little schedule piece of this. Throw some of this on there, like we did before. Now this just, don't be afraid to get messy. And if you can always wear gloves if you need to be, your hands not to get all messed up. Now, I just basically, like Sarah and I have to go out this afternoon. I just need to make sure that I don't have like green ink on my fingers, because that really, well, sometimes I don't mind it because it embarrasses her to no end. And, that's one of the few joys left in life, is embarrassing your teenage children. So. See, now, like this little bit, I'll save that because you never know where you might want it. So I just want this little bit of like that little lacy element there. So it's just. That little extra lacy piece up under there, it's kind of what it needed. So anyway, that's how this is all super simple. Okay, so then we're going to put something here. Let's see. Maybe going with the dark against the craft, and then doing maybe some sort of color back behind there. Maybe we do this back behind with this on the front, and picks up kind of some of the tonal stuff over there. Let's see in our little bag of tricks here. Be happy and smile. A day with friends is well spent. Or we can also use one of these guys. Color-wise, you know, still, maybe I like that little guy in there. We can just trim him down. You know, the butterflies and the butterfly. You know, color-wise, it still kind of works. So I can pull in things like, I like kind of pulling in some elements from different things, and I'm gonna really just kind of go. I'm not even gonna get my cutter out. I'm just gonna cut this out. I know, don't faint, everybody. I'm trying to free myself and not be so anal about some things. And I'm not working at cutting it perfectly. Oh, that just makes me just kind of go. It's so hard to just do that and just not. I can have it, actually, I let it hang over. See, this is killing me. So look how not straight I cut that edge. Oh my goodness. That absolutely just kind of, it's hard. Okay, so I'm going to chop some off the bottom. I was a little extreme in not being as careful. And it's going to absolutely make me a little bit crazy, so I have to trim it up a little bit. At least eyeball square. Because otherwise I'm just going to hyperventilate too much. So, you know, bring yourself to the level of what you can handle. Alright, so I like that, but I still think I want to put the black along the edge there. So well, at least see, I've got some little dots that I can follow. Ooh, maybe other than where I cut this one, maybe we should use this entire album and not use our cutter. We're just gonna do it all with scissors. God. Can I do that? Oh my goodness. I don't know if I could handle doing that. But we're gonna try. This will be a good challenge for me. I like things all cut straight and perfect, so it's gonna make me a little bit on the crazy side. See, I like that, and then I want to make some sort of little tab guy over on this side. I have this little tiny envelope here, and I can cut that down to be shorter, but that can make a cool tab as well. It can have a tiny little tag inside. I like that idea. Maybe I'll put something over that and I can punch that edge. Or I'll just trim it down. Let's make it about half the width, so if I fold that... Oh, actually, I just like that folded over. Ooh. That was serendipitous. I just wanted to fold it over just to get my half point, but I like it just folded over. And that gets rid of the sticky stuff. I like that. I definitely like that. That worked out. See, I can see though, it is going to make me a little bit crazy. I want some of the edges of this to be darkened, but I don't want to do everything. But I could. I'm going to darken it up. It'll just be a little bit more challenging. I'm not doing a lot. Mainly just these outer corners. I want them a little darker. I can do inside here. And the inside of this is going to get covered with pattern paper, so I can do these edges by just doing it right on top of there. Mainly at the corners. Yeah, so that was easy enough, and I'll be a lot happier. Yep, I'll be a lot happier. I just like that look, so. Alright. Ooh, I like the idea of this little pockety thing in there. Okay, so he needs to get inked up though, too. So I'm going to do him. Just adding some metallic on there. Drop down. Oops, sorry. It's kind of burnishing it on there. And that's with a bronze tone one. And throw some of this green in. Water in here. So just give it a couple spritz because I want it to kind of wrinkle up a little bit. Okay, there's some water on there, so a little more water on there. So that's giving it more of a watchy boodle effect. Oh, Christine is having a hard time. I think it's about the cutting without using the cutter. We're gonna do it. If I can do it, you can do it, Christine. I'm the queen of liking things lined up. So I'm just taking some folding over some pieces of jute. So those are tucked inside of there. So I'm just cutting a piece, and it's about 2 inches long or so. This guy is tucked in. Stick out a little bit just to give it kind of that wrap look. There, so that I don't get growth, heart failure, or that I might get a paper cut. I'll just use this. Just sprinkle up the edges a little bit. And I did one a little off center too. And I'm going to use my I'm gonna use a, they've got the little stylus thing. Dip it in the paint. Dot, dot, dot. I can bring in that pink on both sides. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, so I brought in some of that pink on the other side. Take that off. Draw. Let me take a, what is this? Cool pen. I just want a black. All my fine pointed pens dried up. Do I have a? These are gel. These are Kaiser Craft gel markers. Yeah, see, it does want to go over the wax. I have to get some new pens. Gel markers aren't going to work on that. Okay. My fine point pens. Oh well, we're going to go and just do lightly. I just want to define the edge a little bit. I just wish this was a fine pen, but I'm using my big old fat one. I'm just adding a mark down there, so. I want that. It's going to hang out about to the edge of my, maybe a little past the edge of my paper. And then we can glue that on. Just I want it to stick inside that little black edge. You can use whichever tool you may like. I'm almost out of water. There. Spread them out a little bit. The little dots. Here we go. Flap. Now my ink did not run at all on my paper. But if you're concerned about all that, you can seal it first. But it gives it a little bit more of an aged look to it. And I want this really a sharp edge. That's why I'm using the black. I just really want it to be, I don't want it blending in. I just want it to be right on that sharp edge. Because I want it to be really fine on that edge. That's why I'm using the pad itself. Oh, Ruthie, don't give me too much credit for the stylus. If you the dotting craft where you dot mandalas and stuff, they use styluses for that. So I'm not taking credit for that. That's not on me. I don't like being in a box, so I'm glad y'all think that I don't like to know that I don't like to live in the box. I 100% agree. It's not my place to hang out. But I like to be tidy. You can't tell that by my studio, but my work, I tend to like to be tidy, so it's really hard for me to be untidy. It's a challenge. And I want some kind of like, I don't want it as thick as a piece of, I want it, but I want the fuzzies. See? Exactly. Kristen just said, see, it won't matter if the edge is straight. Yep, exactly. So I've got the tape on there, but I want to have put this on there so it kind of hangs out. Come on, twist the other way. There you go. So I just got a little bit of fuzzy fraying. Get that out of there. That's all I was aiming for that. I want bigger dots, so bigger dots. Just to add that little pop of the pink back in there. Let's see how that'll work. Oh, you're perfect for mixed media. I have to force myself to be messy, Jeannie. This is so hard for me to be messy. But see, but Ruth just said she'd have a hard time doing that splop with my paper the way I just did with the ink. But the beauty of using digital paper, it's like if it doesn't come out, you print a new one. So, well, we're going to start doing some of these kind of techniques with the 3D as well. I have a whole fairy series. I can't wait to start on it. It is absolutely killing me not to work on it yet. Because I can't. Because I got to get this other stuff done. And it's making me absolutely crazy. I want to work on it so bad. Okay, let's stick that down. Oh, Joy, you guys will want to move into these new fairy houses. See, now I'm loving doing this, and the beauty of this album is see, and I didn't clean off my table, and now it's all over this. But you know what? Who cares? It's gonna get splopple doppled on, so it doesn't really much matter. So then this will flip open, and we'll do some stuff in here. But this is the kind of albums that I want to keep doing. So I'm hoping. Oh, see, and I've totally lost track of time. It's already 12:15, but this is the kind of stuff that I want to keep doing. Now, see, that'd be cute then up in that corner like that. Or even right there. And I can even hang over a little. Putting that down into there, because then that kind of, it kind of just migrated over. So that keeps that diagonal thing already going on underneath. So, thinking about, that's why I don't toss all these little bits and pieces. So, anyway, I'm hoping that people are going to be loving doing this sort of thing, because this is what I kind of want to do. This is my wheelhouse. This is what kind of pulls me out of. I've been struggling with, I don't necessarily call it depression, but I've been in some pretty bad funks in the last year. And that album that I showed a few weeks ago that I did, it was like last December and January that I've been starting to work on that, what did I call it? Photo, oh, my brain is going totally dead. But it had the ribbon and all that kind of stuff. It was in the book already, and it had the, what are the, the photo journal that I showed before. This stuff this sings to me. So I'm hoping that people want to do this sort of thing. But I will say this, if this isn't your kind of thing of putting all these little, bits and pieces and making it all crumpled looking and stuff is not your thing, this exact album even these exact papers, you can attach this down flat. This could be cut if you don't want to tear it. You could cut this diagonal, have this little piece sticking out, add these little elements in there, and it doesn't have to be quite so freeform and that kind of look to it. It can totally just be, you can cut it square, you can attach them down and still have a similar feel to it with the exact same papers. You don't have to if you don't want to go a little crazy. So and adding all the texture. I love doing all the texture, but not everybody loves that. So I just want you to be aware, even though this is the kind of thing that I'm doing, you can still do it by creating, like I said, we could have matted this side of the paper with this exact paper. This could actually have been a triangle little tuck pocket that something can be stuck in. I just wish I had more time, because what I'd love to do is to be able to do one page this way and using the exact same materials, do a second page where it's much more traditional. And I just wish I had more time to be able to do exactly that, to show you how that could work. And we'll see if I can pull it together this weekend to where I can take this. It wouldn't take very long doing it in a more traditional method, to take these materials and do them, and then potentially show you the two side by side at the next class. If I can grab an extra half hour somewhere, I'll try to do that and show you how it can be, how it can look. I'll try to get this page finished up and then do it as a regular page, because this will be an album that we will pull out and do other page parts and stuff like that, or I may work on that and just gradually show you along the way. But during some classes we may just pull this one out and work on it. So I'm gonna put all these materials and stuff into a bag so that I have all of them all together. But so this acts as the tab to open this up so that we can do the back side. We've added this little floofy there, some lace here, so I'll probably repeat this lace somewhere over here on this side. Maybe it'll go along this edge or something. But then you can take some of these die cuts, cut apart stuff, and my papers going into the future are going to have more of the cut apart elements so that you can add those on. Excuse me. But what I also can do is, like with this one, I can print this one again and cut out like this butterfly and make him three-dimensional by popping him up and maybe put a little jewel or a sequin or something right there. I want to take these two butterflies and pop them out, maybe cut her out and have her popped up a little bit just to give some little depth onto it. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I want to keep doing in the future. And Jeannie, what I suggest you do is I'm showing you by going through this every step of the way, and I'm showing you, okay, I just tore that edge. Well, your chair may be a little bit different than mine, but I just tore that edge. And then I showed you, I inked it, and then I wet it down just to give it a much darker edge than if I just inked it. I showed you a little bit of stenciling under there, just because, and it's like, well, she covered over most of it. But it's the layering and that you can still see it a little bit that adds that depth to it. But I'm showing you each step of the way what I'm doing, and you can just follow along the videos. This video is going to stay here on YouTube, and you'll be able to follow along. And I need to make sure that the one from the last one was also. And actually, I don't know if this one's going to stay on YouTube or not, just because maybe I will. Even though it had that whole thing about the kits. Since those kits are going to be ongoing for a while for the basic stuff, we'll go ahead and put this one on YouTube. I just don't like putting stuff that's very dated, so that 2 years from now, people are going, oh, is that kit still available? But anyway, I'll go ahead and I'll get part 1 and I'll put it up on YouTube as well. It's just over on my website right now, but I think I'll put it up. I'll just make it live here on YouTube as well, so that you can find it here on YouTube. Or as always, they're also over on my website too, so you can look at them all there as well. So, but you'll be able to watch the video and stop and start it and do the same sort of things, and then move on to the next step and add some of the little details like I love to do. I love adding those little, like the little pink dots here. I love doing all those little foofy details. Again, as I've said for millions of years now, those little details are what take things out of the hand or homemade and turn them into handcrafted. So from homemade into handcrafted, and then you can just copy as many of those little details as you want, come up with your own little details. Hopefully, over the course of doing a project like this, I'm more showing you ideas and techniques of things that you can do rather than duplicating the exact project. So you can duplicate this project. As I said, these are mainly graphic 45 papers. You can pull other stuff out of your stash. You can find maybe some other stripe or a neutral tone here. This is the Fairy Lights paper, I believe it is. If it isn't, I will change that. But I'll put a link in on the for the video. I'll put a link into these papers onto my onto the information for this video, so that you can find these papers in the website. So anyway, that's where this one's going. I'm super excited now about this one by doing this rather than just matting it, because matting is an effective traditional way of doing it. I just want to take it to just elevate it just a step or two. I mean, we don't have to go full blown out, but I'm having fun doing this. So well, congratulations, Jeannie, on your new grandson. That's awesome. Yes, Pam has a new granddaughter who they are excited the baby is home. She could have been in the NICU for a couple months. I mean, she's not even due till Thanksgiving, and they've already got her home. She's gaining weight. She's up to, I think, a little over 4 pounds now. It's so exciting. I'm so excited for her. I'm so excited for Megan, her daughter, and Jose, her son-in-law, too. I know that all babies are wanted, but I know this was an extremely wanted baby, and I'm super excited for all of them. So, but congratulations also to Eugenie. I'm super excited for you as well. And I knocked that out of whack. There we go. So, as always, thank you for all joining me here in my my studio and letting me play. This playing like this is my happy place. So I'm super stoked and excited to be doing these kinds of projects. I'm still working on getting all the other projects done. As I said, the fairy bed, or not the fairy bed, the bed tutorial, fully written tutorial is up. Videos will be up hopefully by tonight. And the conservatory is coming up by the weekend. And then the third steampunk project is next week. And that's letting me get them done faster than by doing them here on the live shows. Those videos will be available on my website under the archives, so anybody can view those videos once they're up. Other than the ones that were typically only available to those who had purchased a pattern are still going to be available that way. But all the rest are, as always, free to view on my website. So, alrighty, guys, we are going to let you go. Thank you, as always, Lois, for helping Joy out, doing moderating, and Joy, as always, for all that you do for me. It's always greatly appreciated, and I greatly appreciate all of you who've taken the time out of your day to join me, and I'm looking forward moving forward with the classes, the live classes. I admit I've kind of was going through a bit of burnout, and so this is rejuvenating me, and I'm super excited about it. So, alrighty, guys, have an awesome rest of your week. If you're going to be able to join us on Friday, I would love to have you. Otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday. So peace out. Love you guys all bunches. Bye for now.